Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Larry, SX, Sleeping Warrior, Ranty Flat Earth, Eric, Daniel, and Arwin. Hope I didn't miss anybody.
Good afternoon.
Howdy.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going? Hello, what?
I didn't hear you say no chocolate.
So I was on Poncho Pete last night. I didn't even realize he had a channel. He streams like 24/7. You guys know about him?
Yeah, I go there every day.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been doing that for a few months. I think a few months now.
I think it's been going on for like a year, right?
Oh, maybe more than that.
Over a year.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's open hangout 24/7.
So we almost got to a conclusion on the last show from Larry. It ended up having to be rounded out by Ranty, which is great because it meant the show ended on time. But yeah, so we've got an assumption that we know the distance to the sun based on an assumption of the size of Venus. So it's a double logical fallacy in the regards that there's an assumption that the Earth has a radius value, and then there's a second assumption that Venus, the star, the light in the sky, is also a physical body like Earth, and it's also spherical and the same size as Earth, that's presumed to be a sphere. So it's a bit of a clusterfuck, really.
We kind of know that planets are spherical, though, because we can observe them by telescopes and they rotate. So
sorry,
that
does a
kind
telescope?
of proves that point.
Sorry, does a telescope give you 2 or 3 dimensions? Because my understanding was
but you can see how the object rotates, and you can tell that it's rotating. And you can also predict, for example, one has this tornado on it, the red spot.
So
you can predict how often it is visible because of the way it's rotating.
Sorry, so was that a yes or a no? Does a telescope give you a 3-dimensional view? Because my understanding was that you have 2 eyes.
You can tell from the rotation that it's 3-dimensional and rotating.
Sorry, did you say rotation? So you've gone behind this thing to confirm that it is rotating then?
So when a ball is rotating in front of you, you need to go behind it to see it's rotating.
I've no idea what the stars are.
That's
sorry,
the logic
I was trying to respond to you, Larry. So you're now talking about a ball in front of me, as opposed to the thing we're talking about, which is the absolutely... I hadn't finished. The absolutely unknown thing in the sky that's giving off light, called stars. Now, if you're to compare that to a ball in front of me, that I could potentially go and touch and physically test and all those things, then it's not comparable to the intangible lights in the sky.
I was pointing to the logical fallacy that you assume we need to circle behind objects to tell if they are rotating. I can see a ball in front of me, for example, within a cloud.
So you've just done the same thing. So I've pointed out that they are intangible and a ball in front of you is not.
Circle behind.
And you're going to completely ignore my objection and restate it. That's annoying. Are the stars tangible like your ball is tangible? Yes or no?
I know it's a bit annoying when I
It's a yes
point
or a
out your
no.
logical
We
flaws,
do this
but
a lot, Larry. My question is simple. Are the stars tangible?
we can tell they are rotating by the way they
Sorry, that's not my question.
appear to us.
My question is, are they tangible?
I know it's not the question, but I don't really care.
Oh, really? Well, then you have no place here, because my point hangs on you acknowledging at least one point that we have without completely obfuscating it, claiming it's not important, restating your position that I've debunked, that sort of crap. I'm tired of it. Do it again. I'm just going to kick you off because you're starting to really annoy me. My question I will ask again, Larry. Are the thing that is being qualified and described in comparison to a tangible ball, are those things, the stars, tangible like your ball or intangible, not like your ball?
We can figure out how things are.
That's not my
by just
question.
looking at them.
That's not my question. That's not my question, though, is it? You're not answering my question. You're doing what I've just said a dick would do. So you're a dick, aren't you, Larry? Because you're not answering me. My question hangs around whether or not we can get any real data from something that's intangible. But you're going to keep telling me that you can just decide and extrapolate these things, right? Based on what a tangible thing does, correct? Well, they're not comparable. One is tangible, one is intangible. That's my point. I would expect you to at least acknowledge it, but you're a wanker. So of course you won't.
So your question here was if we can get any data from something that is intangible. Yes.
Sorry, no,
because
first,
we can see
no,
light.
you've misrepresented my question, so you've now rephrased my question. That's not my question.
No,
You've rephrased my question, so I'm stopping you. I'm talking over you because you're now misrepresenting me, Larry. So rather than deciding that you've got a different question to answer, I'll just answer the simple question. I'll ask it again. Are the stars tangible or intangible?
I didn't actually rephrase your question. That was the way you asked it. So maybe you made an error in the way you phrased it.
Well, now he's bloody well
I
just asked you,
actually
so
I
you
used
told
your
answer the
you
words
question.
verbatim.
Can you
Guys,
just answer the damn question?
it doesn't do that ever.
Tangible or intangible? It's an open and closed question with one of two answers.
Shout out to Scoop TV for the super chat. Thank you very much.
Face-to-face conversation. I cannot believe he
It's just a
behaves
dick.
this
The
way.
guy's a wanker, but I'm happy to show what a wanker he is over and over again while he just behaves like a wanker and ignores every question. And then I'll qualify it while he tries to rump us to try and distract and dilute the severe nature of the question. And tell us simultaneously that he can do things that you would normally do with tangible objects with a bloody light in the sky. Because he can look at it with a single lens telescope, not binocular.
So basically what you're saying is you need to go
No,
to
I'm not
a
saying anything. I've
object
asked a
and
question of you,
physically
Larry.
touch it.
No, what I'm saying isn't... I don't need you to qualify
No.
what I've said. I need you to answer me. Are the stars tangible or intangible? That's a direct and closed question that you're still yet to answer.
I'm pointing out the logical flaw behind
Oh,
your
right. So there's a
analysis.
logical flaw. It's a question, Larry. There's no logical flaw in a question. It's just a question.
There is a hook behind your question and it's based
Oh,
on a
is
logical-
there? So you're deciding that there's some motivation behind my question. I'm just asking a question. There's no logical fallacy. It's a question.
Of course there is motivation. This is the Flat Earth debate channel. There is
Oh, right.
always
So you're answering another question about my motivation now rather than about the stars' tangibility. You said that we have debates that don't go anywhere. And yet here we are with a direct question about the very subject matter of the stars and their tangibility, and you're not answering it. So you are guilty of your own crimes that you have accused us of. It seems you're projecting a lot of your crimes onto us, Larry. Things you do,
I never
you accuse
actually
us
said
of.
the debates don't go anywhere. So
Yeah, that would be because
a
people
false
like you don't
accusation.
answer questions,
But
Larry. You answer different questions that haven't been asked. That's what you do. That's why it goes nowhere. Yeah? So what you're accusing us of, Larry, is actually what you're doing. You're projecting, Larry.
Okay, can we move on from this point?
No, I want an answer. That's another sidestep from the question that hasn't been answered, isn't it, Larry? Another example of a wanker. Here we go. Ding, ding, ding. Wanker time. Let's ask it again. So, are the stars tangible or intangible, Larry?
So again, basing on a logical fallacy.
That's a question. There is no logical fallacy in asking a question. I am simply asking something. The question being, are the stars tangible or intangible? And again, the wanker on the panel who says that we don't let the debate go anywhere refuses to ask the question and holds the debate up again. So we can't move on because Larry's decided this isn't important and he's going to answer a question that hasn't been asked. Right, Larry? Wanker?
There is a hook behind your question, like there always is.
Nathan, is it worth going back to the Venus point? I hadn't quite finished because I didn't get an answer off him. And I also want to conclude by the second assumption that is there. So I don't know whether it's worth swapping
Anthony.
or should we just drop it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. These two things, me going to this extent to labour this point, is intrinsically linked. So, yeah, because when we get to the point that Larry concedes they're not tangible, we're going to start quizzing him about how we would ever know the size of something intangible. But he won't concede that because it's directly... he's going to talk. You talking, Larry? Time to dilute my point, is it?
I just laughed.
Oh, it is time to dilute my point, you utter wanker. No, Larry.
No,
so,
no, I was...
Yeah, shut... That means shut your stupid, ignorant old mouth. You stupid old man. I will make this point because it demolishes your religious assertions about knowing, based on an assumption, how big a light in the sky is and what that light in the sky is, despite the fact that that defies the very definition of an intangible object, which you won't concede because you know how devastating it is to concede it. Right, Larry? Silence. Beautiful. Golden. Yummy silence.
Okay?
Yum, 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 yum. Taste that silence, Larry. Taste it. Taste it. Revel in it. Soak it up. Soak up your religious belief in this shit. Soak it up, Larry. Yeah, the stars are intangible, you utter retard. Do you understand? Do you get it? You're going to concede that point. Ever. No, you're just going to cough into your mic. Yeah, choke on your words, you stupid religious zealot. You're an utter moron.
Oh, it's now name calling time then?
Yeah, you're a
Fine.
moron. You're a moron. We've spent 10 minutes with me asking a simple question about whether the stars are intangible or not, and you can't even answer it.
That's because you're basically trying...
Oh, now you're going to tell me that's the reason why you're not answering it rather than answering it. How many times have we got to answer? It's a bit like conspiracy cats. How can we have gas pressure without a container? I've asked him that. I think it's 331 times I've asked him that question. Is it going to be like that with you, you obfuscating piece of shit?
I have no reason to play that game either.
Oh, just answer then. Are the stars tangible?
I don't have a good reason to play your psychological game.
It's not a psychological game, it's a simple question. It's just a simple question. Are they tangible?
We can know about the rotation without them being...
That's not what I asked. So that's a different question. You're answering a different question again. What an obfuscating piece of shit you are. These globeheads are real wankers, aren't they? You'd think if the truth was on their side, they'd just be able to answer simple questions with simple answers. But they need to obfuscate and answer new questions that they invent for themselves. So I'll ask it again. Are we going to get up to the hundreds for you, Larry? Is this going to be your question? Are the stars tangible, Larry?
Okay, I'm going to give you an answer just so we can...
Oh, praise the Lord. I'm so grateful, Larry. Would you like me to lick your boots as a thanks? So are they tangible?
Yeah, actually.
Are they tangible? Are they tangible?
Can you get to Finland?
Are they tangible? Are they tangible?
Can you get to Finland?
Are they tangible? That's a question to me. Are they tangible?
You said you would like to lick my boots. Can you come to
No,
Finland
I'm
week?
asking, are the stars tangible? I said I was grateful that you're actually going to answer. You seem to be obfuscating, answering, even now. What a wanker.
A wanker from Finland, apparently.
So,
You didn't know that?
when are you coming here?
I'll come next Christmas. I've always wanted
Why
to
am
do
I being
Christmas.
obfuscated still? I want Larry to answer my question. Are the stars tangible, Larry?
Okay, I wanna see where you will go after this.
Of course, I knew he was going to say
Well,
it.
you can find out once you answer.
I'm coming next
Oh.
Christmas. Answer.
Yes,
Okay, so we answered that. Now, answer the question.
yes, that stars are not tangible.
Excellent.
So
Anthony,
where
do
are
you
you
want...
going with that?
Well, now I'm going to hand... Now that you've admitted...
Wow.
Now you've admitted they are not tangible, I'll hand back over to Anthony so he can continue with his point.
That took a bit. 15 minutes.
Epic timing from Anthony. Hello, Anthony.
Stop gaming, Anthony.
Maybe he fell asleep.
Maybe. breaks the slightly tense moment though, doesn't it? Eh? Anyway, I'll conclude my point, even though Anthony doesn't get to get his point in. That was the whole point of this in the first place. So, Larry, if you're to claim that they've gone and measured something, how can that possibly be the case if they are intangible?
I already answered that point because I knew you were going there. If you didn't pay attention, maybe you missed it.
Oh, Anthony's back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh,
So, Laurie,
I actually want to. I will give you. I just want to say this. You're relying. You asked about measuring. You're relying on a unscientific way of defining measuring. Like we can measure things, for example.
I'm not.
Well, IQ may be a bad example, but we can measure, for example, the rate that languages have changed at, and so
I'm not
on.
at all. I'm using a citation from NASA that tells us how they calculated.
I wasn't actually referring to you, but basically, we can measure things in other ways than just physical.
Well, Anthony,
light
let me just bring you up to speed. He's conceded that the stars are intangible.
Oh, good.
Right.
Did that hurt?
It took him 15 minutes to concede it.
It must have hurt that, Laurie.
It didn't really hurt because I knew that all along. I just wanted to point out
really?
to you that there is a bullshit point. You always have a bullshit hook behind every question.
You guys, like he always.
You always have a bullshit hook behind every question.
Right. So let's get back to my point.
You mean a point, Laurie?
I asked you at the end of the last show, Laurie, what happens with Huygens when he calculates the distance to Venus if he assumes that it's the same size as Earth? And the question I asked you was, what if his assumption's wrong? What does it do to the maths? And we didn't really get an answer from you. We did get one from Ranty, and Ranty's answer was correct. So I'm going to ask you the question because I want you to answer. If the assumption that Venus is the same size as Venus is the same size as Earth, what does that do to his maths?
If he is incorrect.
I'm assuming it basically would not work.
Right, well done. Now, second question that relies on the first answer. What happens if the assumption of Earth, because you know how they calculated the circumference, you know that value that you're not familiar with? That was done by a bloke called Eratosthenes, apparently. Now, Eratosthenes lived 250 years before Christ. Do you believe that Christ existed, Laurie?
I'm not sure how that's relevant, but
well, because
there's
an issue about whether we can prove that Eratosthenes even existed. But let's just assume, we'll beg the question that he did actually exist. He made the assumption that the Earth was curved because of some sticks in the ground observation and water at the bottom of a well's observation. And the conclusion was that the Earth must be round because of the angles in question. And he assumed that the sun must be therefore trillions of miles away. And that's how we get the rough distance to the sun, notwithstanding the fact that he was miles out. But that was the assertion that you morons believed true. Eratosthenes assumed that the Earth was curved. However, Neil deGrasse Tyson states that, well, the maths works both ways. He admits that the maths works both ways, because if the Earth's flat, it shuts the angle right down and it brings the sun to be very close and local, the way we say it is. So if we have the assumption that Venus is the same size as Earth, but Earth itself was assumed to be a sphere when it equally works out that it might be flat but a local sun, that gives you a 25% chance in being right. Is that a strong position to take, Laurie?
It would take me some time to debunk that, but I would certainly be able to debunk it given time.
Right, so guess what your next task is then? To come up with some evidence or answer.
Sorry, this is not school. This is not.
No, this is your religion. This is your religion. You've got a god.
My religion actually is Christianity, so you would be wrong about that.
Well, no worries, Laurie. No worries. Sorry, Anthony. This is in no way directed to you then, Larry. Anthony will just make his point and you can just sit silent knowing that you don't have to do anything. Okay?
So Huygens assumed that Venus was the same size as Earth, and that assumption is based on Earth being a sphere when Neil deGrasse Tyson also concedes that the maths works out both ways. So my question next time that we see you is, can you tell us what the truth is and base it on some evidence? I don't expect you to answer it right now, but I want you to go away and find out the evidence to support your position because you've got a 25% probability of being correct.
Shout out to
That sounds
Tony
reasonable
Oakley for
because-
the super chat. He says, thanks for the show, Nathan. Rumpus is a walk in the park compared to this guy. Thanks, Rantony Oakley.
That sounds roughly speaking reasonable because at least you're not putting me on the spot and expecting me to give an answer right now, which is mostly how discussions like this work. So I would be actually fairly fine with that.
Cool. So let's just be clear so that you can hear it again. He assumed that Venus was the same size as Earth. So it either is or is not the same size as Earth. That's 50-50. But that assumption is based on the assumption from Aristophanes that the Earth must be curved because the sun must be trillions of miles away because of the shadows. Well, if you assume that the Earth's not curved and then assume that it's flat, then the sun is local. So that's a 50-50 as well. So when you reduce it down, you end up with 25% probability that you're right. I want you to justify that 25% probability based on them 2 points. Find us some evidence that proves the size of Venus and find some evidence that proves the shape of the Earth to support your 25% probability.
That sounds good. A small nitpick, though. I don't think the probabilities are 50-50, but that's basically a non-issue. So
Well,
I can agree with that.
So the Venus points are the 50-50. It either is the same
sorry,
as
Anthony,
Earth,
hold on.
or it's
hold
not.
on. Sorry, bear with me. So what do you think it is then, Larry?
It's really hard to tell. Like, it's basically, it's actually a non-point, so we shouldn't even go there. But
No, that's kind of why I braced it. So you would agree that there is a probability involved then?
I'm not sure because basically the question would be something like, what's the probability of things being like that as opposed to like this? We cannot actually assign probability to.
Well, no, it's based on the probability. You've got two choices: either Venus is or Venus is not the same size as Earth, and then the other one is Aristophanes.
So you're basically saying yes, no, and then you would give 50-50.
Well, it's not confirmed, Larry.
Okay,
it's an assumption.
Fine.
You see, the problem is, Larry, it's an assumption. That's the problem. You see, so it might be right, it might not be right. That's where we're going down the probability route. You see, my point was going to be though: is it acceptable that something that has a probability of being right is taught to children as absolutely correct and factually accurate beyond any reasonable doubt? In fact, they teach it as being scientific fact when we're actually dealing with a probability about it. Do you think that's reasonable? So
basically, you're now expecting me to give an answer to the question?
Did you hear the question?
While he was giving me a chance to go and study it. I don't see how it's reasonable for now you to expect me to answer it anyway.
I'm asking for your opinion. You don't have to give it. I'll just throw it open to the panel. But did you hear the question?
If you're asking my opinion, you're asking for my opinion based on what you said,
no,
I'm saying say that's reasonable.
Okay, I'll just restate the question. So based on the fact that he is assuming these things, not confirming, not measuring, assuming, then there is ipso facto a probability around that. That's a fact. Yeah? Not the measurement being a fact, which is the point. He hasn't got a fact. There's a probability involved. My question and the opinion I'm asking you for is it acceptable to tell people it's a scientific fact when in fact we're dealing with something that has a probability attached to it?
Given that it was an open question to go for me to study, if for example, I can answer it reasonably and come with a definite answer, so it's not actually probability in the end, then it's rational to also teach it. So it would actually hang on whether I can go and study and find a reasonable answer to it. if it really is probability, but we haven't established that yet.
Oh, sorry. So you think that you have actually established the distance to the presupposition that sphere-shaped Venus is the same size as Earth? You think that's confirmed, do you?
That's not actually what I said.
Well, no, it's either, as Anthony has cited, an assumption, which may or may not be wrong, giving us probabilities, or it's an absolute fact as taught in schools. Now, where we're at is we know it's not a fact. It's based on a bloody assumption, and I'm asking you whether it's reasonable to teach something that is based on an assumption and has a probability attached as fact when it's not.
Well, flat Earth is an assumption, and at least it's
You
not.
utter wanker. Excuse me. There is no assumption when I measure the distance to things, and that is absolutely not the question, you obfuscating piece of shit. Is it reasonable that my children and myself and my parents were taught that scientific fact states, reification fallacy, that the Earth is a sphere and that we know the distance to the Sun, when in fact it's based on a probability of likelihood based on an assumption made by a man? Is that reasonable or unreasonable, as I would absolutely assert it to be? Unreasonable as all hell to say something's fact when it's not fact.
Yes, it is reasonable because it's not based on a probability of assumption.
Yeah.
So it's not based on an assumption. So when it says he assumed, you are deluded. Can't read, can't listen, and think it's fact when he says he assumed it.
So it's again insult time. Fine.
Sorry, do you think the word assumption is the same as the word fact? Are you a dick or what? He didn't factually check it. He assumed it. Stupid moron. Are you disagreeing with this? I'm asking again. Do you think this is fact? Do you think the distance to the Sun and the circumference of the Earth that you don't know are facts?
This is bullshit. I really have something better.
Oh, well, piss off then.
If
I'll
you're-
kick you
if you're
out.
just
Right, if this
calling
is
out
just
at me,
bullshit, you utter wanker, get the hell out.
And next
Stupid
time-
little man.
Next time you come in, bring some evidence.
Next time, know your model, you stupid old retard.
I actually think he's trolling. I don't think he's sincere.
Really?
Hey, Woz, how you doing? Or Wes?
That was painful but enjoyable all the same.
I think
I
he's-
hope the audience got the gist of why we allowed him to stay as long as we did.
Well, at the
making
point that
himself
he's
look stupid
declaring
every
that
time
it's
he
all
comes in.
bullshit, that's when he could sod off. Anyway, hello, Wes, how you doing?
It's Chris.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me, Nathan?
Good evening.
Hey, it's Chris. Chris Berry. Sorry, I think I'm on a different account.
No worries. Just turn you up a bit. Shout out to 787GENX. Thank you very much. That's Michael. Thank you, Michael, for the super chat.
So, I almost don't know what to say now.
That was actually fun.
Really?
Just to hear him stammering and just really making himself look like a fool is just funny.
It was.
I don't know if I
found that to be
completely
terrible.
disagree with him.
Well, I want to say thank you. Just at least he does show what the ball religion has. At least religious people can admit, yes, I have faith. That's all I need. These people can't even do that. So thank you.
These people. In this case, it did. I think Laurie is one of a kind mostly. And yeah,
Who goes?
I already gave my judgment on him. I'll do it again.
Who goes on a debate show to defend a belief system with not even knowing it?
Yeah, and he accused us. He
That's not what he's doing. He's purely getting in our way. He's arrogant. He's painfully short-sighted and obviously willingly disruptive. And that's the big part. He is literally just trying to disrupt the place.
I mean,
That is prerogative.
does anybody know of other men that actually have a conversation that way? Wouldn't last. Oh, I just can't.
Would you join a football conversation if you didn't know what a touchdown was?
Oh, I would sit there and say, listen, I'm ignorant. I don't like football. American flag. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
or say, hey, I don't know what a touchdown is. Tell me so I can join the conversation. You
Hello,
don't just join the conversation and just say this and that and the third, and I don't know what a touchdown is, which is the main point of the whole thing.
I mean, I think everybody here is ignorant of some sort of topic. Like, we can't know everything. And
Yeah, but not this one. Purposely, we're here purposely for this.
but last time I
Can't be
checked,
ignorant on this. You know what I
real
mean?
men just say, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know.
But the other thing is, he doesn't understand what a poison in the well fallacy is. He thinks that poison in the well is just attacking the point he's making, which is not poison in the well. If you're listening, Laurie, poison in the well is where you're due to come somewhere, i.e. this show. You're not actually here, but you are due to. And then you spend an hour before you get here slagging you off. That's what poison in the well is, and that didn't apply today. So you don't even know your fallacies.
Indeed. Anyone. Oh, maybe it has something to do with being shouted over and insulted, called names. Yeah, well, what should we call people that don't man up? You can't be nice to people that way. It's impossible. Sorry. And name calling. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shit show every time he joins. He's never got evidence with him. He never answers any questions. He never argues the point. He deflects with like side attacks, saying, "No, you should be arguing this way, and you should be arguing that way," and never actually getting anywhere with any point, ever. Can you imagine if we actually tried to get him concede something? That's even worse.
No, he can never even start off with answering a simple yes or no to a closed question. Listen, it's fine to answer the question yes or no and then add to it, but you have to answer yes or no first, or I don't know, and then build upon it. You don't just no, answer the question first and then build on it if you can.
Shout out to the super chat, Nathan.
I did.
But you know what? I think it only goes.
Great show, Nathan. Take him through it, kicking and screaming. Shout outs to all the members of the panel. First 25 was my backup channel. I didn't hear you say that.
Yeah, I definitely shouted him out. It's Michael. He regularly donates to the super chat. He's one of those people that's keeping the show going in that regard. If it wasn't for people like him, there would not be a show. Thank you very much indeed.
That guy, Laurie, though, he seemed to have a point by the question you guys were asking him about whether or not it was like a probability type of observation. Like it's based off of probability. I don't think it's based off of probability. I think it's more of a estimate is a better word.
So not a fact then?
No, I mean the exact value may be in question, but the idea that
I just going to stop you there.
Similar
yes,
sizes.
That's our point, though. I just need to stop you there. That's our point. If the number is in question, why the hell is it taught as fact?
I think that the precision is what's in question.
Sorry, I don't give a crap what's in question. It's in question, right? It's not fact. It's not 100% accurate, confirmed fact.
Sure, but I mean...
Right, stop. So why is it being taught to kids as fact?
Right. So the distance from like the Eiffel Tower to
sorry,
to
that's
London,
not my question.
It's probably not
my
exact,
question's
right?
the same as the point I got pissed off with Larry. My question's the same. You've conceded. Not fact. Why is it acceptable to teach it as fact to children?
Because they're pretty confident on that number.
I don't give a crap about confidence. It's not fact. And yet, it is taught as fact. That's wrong.
Okay. Do you
That's just
understand,
wrong.
The difference between precision and accuracy?
Sorry, I know the difference between a fact and not a fact. This is not a fact. I don't give a crap how you justify the closeness in accuracy. It's not a fact. But yet it's taught as scientific fact to children. And I want you to say whether or not you think that's reasonable to teach things that are not facts as facts.
I think absolutely it's reasonable to teach children the most precise answer we have.
Sorry, it's not precise.
The accuracy
It's
is
not
fine. It's the precision
precise. You're straw manning me. I'm not saying, is it reasonable to teach things that are precise? This is not that. So don't straw man me. That's not the question. I'm not asking, is it reasonable to teach children things that are precise? That's not my question. My question, I'll repeat again. So don't misrepresent my question and answer a different one like Larry did. This is not fact, yet taught as fact. Do you think that teaching something as a fact when it's not is reasonable? Because I do not.
Well, I agree, but I don't think this is that situation.
Yeah, that is the situation, you stupid dumbass. This is taught as scientific fact. Yummy silence from the retard globe head. Taste that silence. Yum it down. Yum, 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 yum. Yes, that's right, Mark. That's right, Mark. It's wrong. Wrong to teach things as facts if they're not facts. This is not a fact, the distance to the sun in this case. Yet it's taught to children as a scientific fact. It's not.
I want to ask him a question. If we say 3,000 miles to the distance of the sun and you say 93 million miles away, how can you tell which one is more precise?
That's a good question. There's actually a method that Aristarchus had done where he measured the angle of the sun and the moon.
Hold on. Let him explain this.
The difference between that value he got in 90 degrees, and that tells you the ratio that the sun is from the moon as far as distances.
Hey, Mark, does this calculations that you're doing, does it comes with assumptions?
No.
So it doesn't assume R, you utter retard.
No.
Yes, it does.
Where?
It assumes the Earth is a sphere.
It doesn't.
Sorry, so you're telling me he's measuring then he's getting a 3,000 mile sun?
No, but the only thing that he's understanding is that the sun, the light is coming from the sun to the Earth and also to the moon. Understanding that, he makes the measurement from there.
Sorry, do you want to take us through the maths so I can show you the R value?
Sure.
Go on then.
Oh, you'd like me to show you? Okay.
Yeah, you're making the claim
the moon
that
to rise.
Sorry, we're getting the distance to the sun, and you're saying sticks and shadows, right?
No.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that he's watching the moon rise and measuring the time it takes, about 2 minutes. He puts that into the time the moon appears in the same spot the next day, which is it gives you a value for an angular size of 0.5. So he understands this. Then he watches the lunar eclipse, and he sees the time it takes for the moon to go across the shadow, as well as how many times the moon's diameter goes through the shadow. And from this point, he understands the eclipse to be.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, he understands that the eclipse is what's it caused by again?
Well, yeah, that's right. He has Earth.
Sorry, it's caused by Earth. So let me get this right. So he assumed that Earth, a sphere, caused that shadow. Correct?
No.
Oh, he didn't. I'm sorry. I'm a bit confused then. Don't talk. Shut up. I'm a bit confused. You just said he saw a shadow and it was Earth that caused it. How would he know that?
Well, funny thing about the lunar eclipse is it occurs at the precise moment that the full moon phase begins. It's the exact moment.
Sorry, that doesn't answer my question. How did he know that the shadow on that light in the sky was caused by a sphere-shaped Earth? I thought he was figuring that bit out. Yet you've just told me he knows that the sphere Earth is causing that shadow. That sounds kind of like an assumption to me.
Yeah, I'm sure it does, but the curve of the shadow was what gave it away.
Yeah, so he's saying so he's saying that the curved shadow is caused by the curved Earth. And that is an assumption.
Okay, or it's an observation.
Sorry, you utter fuckwit. So I am correct, and Arwin is correct. when he does this, he will absolutely assume the Earth is a sphere then. So again, this isn't a fact. It's based on an assumption that a curved light in the sky is caused by a sphere Earth. That's an assumption that Earth is a sphere and causing a light in the sky to have a curved shadow. That's quite a lot of assumptions, isn't it, Mark?
No, there really is no assumptions at all.
So he knew the Earth was a sphere causing that shadow. How did he know that?
Well, because a person before him, I think it was Euclid, he had done his geometry little book, and he's got a couple of laws, a couple of rules, and one of them is that a sphere is the only shape that always...
So he automatically assumed that it was a sphere also then. So he's decided what a sphere will do, and the Earth is a sphere doing that.
Well, he observed it.
What did he observe? He observed the Earth as a sphere, did he?
He observed the curved shadow that the moon
Yeah, we've
always
gone over
crosses
this.
into.
He observed a curved shadow and assumed Earth being a sphere was what caused it. We've gone over this twice. You're
How do
being a
we even know
wanker.
it's a shadow?
Excuse me. You're being a wanker. He assumed Earth as a sphere caused that shadow. That's a fact.
So at the precise
Yeah,
moment...
no, not right. The precise. Just right. Yes, Nathan. He did.
Well,
as
no,
I...
it's
Shut
either
up!
an odd...
Shut up!
Mm-hmm.
He did assume that Earth was a sphere causing that shadow. Yes, Nathan, that's correct. Say that.
Yeah, so if every time...
Not yes, so! Yeah, Nathan, that's correct.
Whatever you
Not
wanted, but
yes,
as far as
so.
the man's robbing you.
Excuse me, you utter wanker, this is your last chance. You will concede it with a clear and concise English yes. Not yeah, so. Do you understand,
it's not
retard?
true, so-
You will respond to my absolute statement of fact with a yes. He did indeed assume Earth caused that shadow and Earth was a sphere.
He concluded that the Earth was a
He
sphere.
assumed it! Last chance. Get the eject
one?
button hovered over this utter
He
wanker.
concluded
Get this
that the Earth
eject
was a
button
sphere.
ready
It
while
was
I ask
pretty
him
simple.
again as he
That's the only
talks.
shape that gives those shadows.
Not
It
the,
occurred
so
at the
he
precise
assumed it
moment.
then. So saying it's the only shape is to say he assumed the Earth was that shape. Yes.
Sure. Just like the
Not
solar
sure
eclipses occur at
muttering.
the exact moment that
You
the new moon phase occurs. So it's really not an assumption whatsoever.
Get out. He absolutely assumed it. You're just a lying sack of garbage like all of them. We know he assumed it. Hey, PMARS.
Hey, you dumb fuck nigger. I think you are pathetic.
No
Shut the
need.
fuck up,
Just
Pete.
like a garbage.
No need. No need.
Bye, P-Mars.
Diving deeper and deeper.
If you want to
Lower
lie,
that
Mark
bar.
or whoever you are, Goldemo, we're getting trolled now because we won't let the trolls lie about the assumption made about the Earth being a sphere. Hello, UKPI. Hello,
there.
UKPI.
Speak up now.
I think
3,
he's a troll.
2, 1, kick.
He's a Glover. I know that.
UK Pie, he's a troll. Pie.
So
Well,
far
no,
we've had two people come in and they've made a complete arse of their argument.
Boom.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Jose.
Hey, Jose.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like to know what evidence they even have that it is a shadow in the first place.
That's the point. They assume it's a shadow caused by Earth being a sphere. And when this guy goes, yeah, so he makes the mildest of concession, then tries to move on and later says, oh, it's not an assumption, it's a deduction. Oh, right. So you think that by replacing the word assumption with deduction changes the fact that he made a little guess that it was caused by Earth being a sphere, precisely our bloody point. You're going to deny that? Just a liar. Or ignorant, who cares, don't care. He assumed it, we know it, everyone on the panel knows it, everyone in the audience knows it. We all know it, but this asshole has to come here to obfuscate and say, nah, it wasn't an assumption. It was a deduction. Like that somehow makes it factually accurate.
Well, could the moon not have some sort of aperture on it that just closes and opens and closes?
Could be a
Why does it
million
have
and
to
one
be a
different
shadow?
things.
I don't
Eric,
know.
you can assume
That's assuming
anything
that's
you like.
physical.
You can assume
Right.
It's just a matter of proving that. So yeah, you could, like he did, assume that. But that wouldn't make it factually accurate. So if you were to assume that the moon has got an aperture and it's opening and closing, well, yeah, you can make that assumption if you want. But if you teach it to children as scientific fact, that's an outrage.
Right. So why would my assumption be crazy in his mind, but his is right?
Oh, because
I'm the
he can,
stupid one if
he
I
can
just assume
redefine it.
that.
The religious fanatic, and you're just speculating.
But I could work out my assumption that it has an aperture. Perfect. And work out perfectly with maths. This is how they think.
But it's still an assumption.
Yeah.
Assumption.
Probability.
As long as
I'm just playing devil's
so
advocate.
it's not a fact until it's a fact.
I know.
Ridiculous.
That's the point. Doesn't matter which way you go. The whole original question was, is it acceptable to teach something that's not fact as fact? And when it comes to quantifying with the difference between a deduction and an assumption, it doesn't matter. It's still not a fact, and that's the point of the question. Is it acceptable to say, science says the sun is this distance? It's a fact, because science says so. When it's not a fact, not even remotely close to being a fact. An assumption.
Science is tangible and it's a deity.
Well, we have an example where the government themselves have told me that the fact that the Earth orbits the sun is a scientific fact. I've asked him for his evidence, and so far, nothing.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Can I get a warning?
Go ahead.
You can try.
Can I bring this back down to earth for a minute? I got two short videos to present, and I think people in chat would like to see a little bit of footage, if that's nothing wrong. Now, this is hopefully Arwin or anybody in the Skype chat will present it for me, please. Okay, first of all, I caught this little piece of footage a few weeks ago, and I was scratching my head because I took a footage from a boat, 20-foot high observation, and then very, very low observation. Now, this is the case. The waves were about a foot and a half waves, and I put my camera about maybe 4 inches above the water when I was really, really low. What's going to happen with the horizon? Because of perspective, the horizon appears to ramp up to go up to eye level, you know, and then the sky go down. So the waves are going to appear higher than the camera that I got it like freaking 4 foot off the ground. And I was looking at this, I said, like, did I get the curvature? I get obstruction because of the freaking waves were blocking like almost the whole bottom of the boat. So I had to beg the question and use the perspective hijacking curve calculator. I said, there's going to be no obstruction in a 1.5 mile away boat, you know, 2 miles. I put 2 miles. I put 20-foot high observation. There's no obstruction whatsoever. So I can see the whole boat. Now I put 0.33 observer high as a 4 inches high. And then it should be in the ball, in the model, it should be like a foot, freaking obstruction. But the whole bottom is obstructed because of the waves. And you can see the footage in a second after this one. This is like a 17-second video. This is from 20-foot high, what I'm seeing right here. And then when you play the other one, that's really low in the water. And you're going to see it. Who's presenting, Erwin?
You can also see what I was kind of trying to describe on Ranty's picture. So
Right,
I don't know if the audience, you guys in the Hangout. Oh, can you go back, Arwin? Oh. You can just pause it.
That's the highest observation right there. Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Pause.
It's not quite. It wasn't quite as good as what I was hoping. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I was going to point out that you could see a slight inferior mirage just behind the wave, but I don't know if you'll find the exact point on the right hand side of the boat. There we go. So just at the bottom right hand corner, you can probably see there's this very, very tiny little tip of mirage. Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
And then then the waves are obviously higher in this instance than on Ranty's perfect mill pond. So in essence, if these waves weren't obscuring it in the near foreground, midground, you'd see the diffraction limit at the lowest angle, but it's basically obscured by the waves.
Exactly, yeah. So this is really high. The whole thing is seen in there. Now in the second video, I went extremely low. I mean, and then as the perspective takes place, when the horizon, look at the camera where I put it right there, like pretty much almost lined up with the water. And then the waves being a foot and a half tall, that's gonna block. That's gonna be higher than the lens of the camera. So look how appears to be obstruction. So I presented this on the Discord on GenPanda, and they say like, you got nothing there. It's too low. They actually gave it to me. They say you got no observation. There's not a flatter proof. There's not a ball proof. You went too low above the water, and it's the waves that is blocking the boat. So if anybody is trying to troll in the chat and saying I got the curve, you guys are wrong, because the quote unquote experts on the ball religion are telling me I got nothing, and I figured it out. I mean, it's so easy to see. It's the waves blocking the bottom of the boat.
Right. This is so reminiscent of the one that Ruhif presented, where they had a cargo boat that looked like it was half cut off at the bottom. And essentially it is waves in the foreground versus waves in the background. And you've only got to lower your elevation to cause an obstruction from the waves in the mid to close foreground to be higher than the thing in the distance that's smaller. So proportionately, you can have a small wave blocking out quite a considerable amount at the bottom of the boat. Well, when this gets even worse, i.e. the thing's further in the distance, that effect is 10 times more severe, i.e. a little wave that can block a boat that's, how far did you say this is, Jose? A couple of miles?
This is 1.5 miles, 2 miles tops.
Right. So if you can do this, if you can have this effect at a couple of miles, what do you think is going to happen when that thing shrunk by 30 or 40 or 50 or 70% into the distance? Well, you'll lose the whole boat to these little waves in the foreground, right? Oh, no. If it's out at a distance beyond 10 miles, then it's definitely Earth curve that's causing this. Not
That's
perspective.
ridiculous, yeah.
No, well, it's not.
And I was scratching my head. I say, just with the perspective point, I don't have to point any mirage or nothing. Just with the perspective, with the floor apparently ramping up to my eye level, because I'm so low, and then the waves being higher than the actual camera because of the horizon rising up. That's the obstruction right there. It's just perspective, pretty much,
Absolutely. So when Ranty's
small
pointing
wave,
out
and the bottom of that boat is not a foot. That's maybe 15 or 20 foot that is being blocked in there. So how is it even possible? Even if you want it to be a ball, there's not a 20-foot obstruction. Let's say a 10-foot obstruction in a 2-mile distance. There's none. It's not.
Right. So next time somebody shows a boat in the distance and says, why is the bottom of it missing? It's like, well, we've got the same effect here at 1.5 miles. So you're claiming that suddenly it's become Earth curve when it looks like the exact same effect, i.e. waves in the foreground being bigger than the thing in the distance that's obviously smaller because it's far away. Potentially, a small wave can block it.
You can still see it mirror it down here, see?
Yeah, I did. It's exposing the diffraction limit layer. I see what you're saying, Arwin, as the waves move in and out.
It's just slightly in front of it, but the mirroring back there is still going on.
Right.
Yeah, so I just wanted to present this because I think it's just, kind of what we're talking about. It's just a little too extreme, a little too low to see what an actual small 1-foot wave can do damage in a short distance. So you add up 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles distance observation, you're going to be missing a lot.
That's awesome.
Do you want to see something cool, Nathan?
Yeah,
look
definitely.
At my screen.
You're going to round out the show with this, Ranty. So, are you
Thank
done,
you for
Jose,
presenting it, guys.
Hold on one
No
second,
worries.
Ranty. Are you done, Jose, or was there something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, no, I am done. That's all I wanted to do. Thank you for presenting it, and people take note.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Ranty. You're on.
Yeah, I just found this little nugget. This is Shark Boat. if you remember what shark boat what looks like, there's his jaws and there's his little eyeball. But this is a different day. So I'm just going to play the video, and it's gonna freak you out when you actually start watching it. How it disappears.
What? It's getting swallowed by the sea.
Whoa, it's like it's sinking.
Yes, disappearing, and then it comes back.
Yeah, that's the way.
Ranty, that's literally the proof of thingy refraction that we were talking about. You know, when you were saying about the mirroring in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's mirroring, but not in the atmosphere. It's doing that Rayleigh diffraction. Cool.
Very cool. So as the deck is raising and lowering with the slightly less calm water, it's reducing the angle to it, but you've also got mid-ground obstruction in the form of waves. So it looks like it's literally sinking because the deck's raising, limiting the angle, causing more diffraction, or the boat to go more beyond the diffraction limit, while simultaneously waves in the foreground raise up beyond the midpoint of the camera where it's looking at the boat. So you have an obstruction from things in the foreground that by virtue of perspective are bigger than the boat, whilst the deck is raising and limiting the angle even more intermittently because it's moving. Excellent. This is what
is beautiful. While Ranty, myself, and other people is taking footage, then the other guys, the smart ones in quotes, they're behind a computer modeling and throwing lines in a freaking computer program. How about that, you assholes?
Even if I do say it myself, this has been a really good couple of shows. Do you agree?
Yep.
Indeed.
Please share the show if you're watching. Good numbers as well. Nearly 250 people watching. Wow. Just glanced across at how many people are watching. A lot of people watching this. Ace. Love it. Right. Does anybody else want to round out with another point, or can I? Thank you.
Watch your Flat Earth Early Bird show.
Yeah, watch Flat Earth Early Bird. Right, with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. In a few minutes' time, over on Nathan Oakley channel, the pre-show will air together with a repeat of the last debate, should you have missed it if you're a late riser. Once again, I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!